Andy's like, I was hoping for like, you know, a goat to drop down and like they're just gonna like slice him up and like
Recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week, Andy Matlock joins the show to speak about some recent stories going on, including some famous celebrities who've announced that they've stopped smoking weed, Kurt Cobain's thoughts on the Foo Fighters, the latest Sammy Hagar tour featuring another guitar god, a new rock album by Dolly Parton, and a look back at some of the worst concerts that we've ever attended. So let's get this party started and help me welcome back to the program. He is my brother from the same mother, Mr. Andy Matlock. Andy Matlock! Woo! How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Let's go.
You're not drinking anything tonight?
Today?
Ooh,
It's
you got some water going?
It's a little early. We're doing this. We're doing this a little earlier in the day. Got to get hydrated for Eric Saturday.
Oh, Eric Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, Andy, you have been tearing apart Mom and Dad's house. How's that going?
It's slowed down, but it's because we're waiting on an electrician. But
how did that come about? By the way, like you just like I think I'm just gonna tear apart this house. I've
been staring at it for a long time. Like, and mom has been wanting to start doing some work and getting the kitchen, remodeled essentially. And not a huge remodel, but just kind of like, I guess a huge remodel. Cabinets, countertop, backsplash.
Basically everything.
But not like, moving stuff around really. Just kind of replacing things, so nothing too crazy, I don't think. But the craziest thing I wanted to do was they had like a false soffit ceiling kind of, it went down about a foot and housed some old school lighting, that was in the houses they built in the 60s. And now that's outdated. Everything goes all the way up to the ceiling. And so basically I just started ripping that out, and there was
people like headspace.
Yeah. And it just and the house is kind of small anyway, so it makes it feel bigger if it's, taller ceilings. So it'll make the kitchen feel a lot bigger, more cabinet room, more cabinet space. And so I figured that was a good place to start well,
I'll be interested to see how the before and after pictures when this is finally done.
Yep. It'll,
is there like an expected date for this to be completed or what?
Well, we picked right over the holidays to start doing this, which is the best time to start doing it, but whatever. So we'll see. I don't know. Mom's not in a big rush. It's not like she's got, aside from like real close family relatives that are coming over, she doesn't have like a bunch of company coming over that would care if it's, she wants to do it just in pieces and find things that she likes, get it done, and then move on to the next step, so it doesn't have to be a rush. But at the same time, getting it done sooner than later is ultimately the goal.
Yeah. So I have some big news on my end as well. Oh, really? Yeah. After a 6-month absence, I finally got a hold of my bottle of Sriracha. The cock sauce is back, baby. It's back.
It looks even redder than it used to be. Is it different?
I don't know if this is the.
Does it taste different?
The brand new one. I don't know. Well,
you can't tell after 6 months. You're like, I don't know.
That was part of their like plan. They're like, no one will know.
Like,
like,
it's
unless you still have some from the past, and that's not happening at my place. Yeah. So yeah, one of my favorite this and Tabasco, as you know, are my two faves.
Well,
and,
I think there's a bottle in the fridge that's the old stuff still, and I think it's still the expiration's still good on it. I mean, that stuff lasts forever. So
I almost was close to having you guys know.
I know. I probably should have. But we could do a taste test. We could put them. We could get when you guys come up. We could do the.
I mean, you want me to bring like a little cup of it?
Oh, we can just buy some here. We can just buy it.
Do you guys have it on the shelves?
I think, isn't it on the shelves?
It's still not on the shelf. I had to buy this like online.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I bought it online. I check every time I go to the grocery store, and I still haven't seen it.
Wow.
They said it's back. But I haven't seen it.
It's back.
And I've checked every store.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it's available, and at least it's not like $100 like it used to be. But yeah. And this is a big bottle.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Would you have to pay for that?
Well, I got a gift card. So it didn't feel. So I used the gift card.
Didn't feel as bad.
And it was like. This is still not, ideal, but I spent $10 on it. Yep. So it's not $50. It's not $100. I saw them for $250 at one point. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, but I'm very happy about this, and man, I'm excited to start eating all the foods that I used to eat a lot more.
Yeah.
So start packing on the pounds. Here we go.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So
Josh's ketchup is back.
Yes. It is. That is my ketchup. Yeah. Everything that people normally use like as ketchup, that's what I use it for. Yeah. So now, Andy.
Yeah.
Last time you were on. We did the greatest guitarists of all time or something like that, right?
All right.
And Rolling Stone, they've come out with another greatest guitarist list, and I was like, okay, I don't want to go over this. I don't want to go over this again. But I wanted to like go over real quick their top 5, and it's like always kind of like the same, the same.
Jimi Hendrix.
They always have Jimi Hendrix. They had number 1. They had Chuck Berry at number 2, Jimmy Page number 3, Jeff Beck number 5, and sitting at number 4, Eddie Van Halen.
Okay.
So it's crazy. All these guys are gone now.
Yep.
But the reason I bring that up is because Sammy Hagar has announced that he has a new tour he's going to be kicking off in 2024, and he's calling it the Best of All Worlds.
Wow.
Kind of like the best of both worlds. But
of all of them. Yeah.
yeah, but all of them. So, I mean, like, hey, dude, the guy's had a pretty storied career. I mean, he's like, he was in Montrose.
Yeah.
He had a successful solo career, joined Van Halen. He's done stuff with that, those other super groups like The Circle and stuff like that. And who's the other one? Who's the other group there? Anyway.
The Chicken Foot.
Oh, yeah, Chicken Foot, yeah. So this time he has Joe Satriani on guitar, and Satriani is going to be picking up the Eddie Van Halen licks.
Nice.
Joe Satriani, man, like he's like one of those guys that like everybody like kind of like everybody knows the name Joe Satriani.
Yeah,
but like do people know Joe Satriani's like music when he like they don't know his solo stuff.
I mean,
most people.
He's got records and stuff, but it's like he's just a shredder. Like he's just kind of known for just just crazy stuff.
Yeah, and then he has Michael Anthony on bass, who's always just like been his like kind of like right hand guy, and then Jason Bonham on drums, who is in some of his other super groups, right? And then Joe Satriani, who's going to be replacing Eddie Van Halen, but. Satriani, at a young age, I don't know if he was like in his early 20s or something like that, but he used to teach guys guitar. Like he was a guitar teacher back in the day. Yeah. And he taught 2 very famous guitarists. Can you name those 2 guitarists?
I feel like I know this. Didn't he teach Kirk Hammett?
Kirk Hammett.
And I don't know anybody else. That's the one I've heard. Be crazy, right? Like,
yeah, in Exodus and Metallica. Yep. And then he also taught Steve Vai.
Really?
Yeah, who was in Frank Zappa Band, David Lee Roth, Whitesnake. So
Crossroad.
So that's pretty awesome, man. So, but it's funny because the teacher now, he's like, all right, I heard him on Stern the other day, and it just shows you, dude. Like, I remember when Slash, like, they inducted Van Halen into the Rock and Roll Hall. I don't know if it was Sammy there, and he's like Slash is like playing the guitar and stuff like that. But it's like Eddie used to just just like nothing would play those songs, and you're like, oh man, that's awesome. And then you hear Slash do, and he's like struggling, and like same with Satriani. You know, Satriani, they're still trying to like practice for the tour, but it's like Satriani's just like, you know, he's a crazy guitarist, but he's still kind of like. We're still practicing, you know, these songs and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. To try to achieve somebody's crazy style like that, like. Yeah.
But fucking, what's his name, man? Sammy Hagar. He fucking looks so good, dude. Do you know how old that guy is now?
Yeah.
Dude, he's like 75 years old.
I think he's older.
Dude, he's 70.
I think I saw a picture of him and Bill Clinton next to each other. And like Bill Clinton looked like, you know, they took the worst picture of Bill Clinton ever. He's like white. Right. It's like completely white, his hair and all. And then like
well, it's funny because like, you know, you think about it and you're like, okay, well, he should look a lot worse. He's like, you know, owns a tequila company. He's like always like, you know, partying, having a good time. He's like, you know, traveling on the road. But I don't know. Maybe that's what keeps this guy young. I don't know. But geez. Yeah, I hope I could be like that, and you know, as with it, you know, as he is.
Yeah.
When you know, that's a little ways from now, but you know.
Yep.
You know how time goes. It's like, you know, oh, it's like I guess we're here. Yeah.
Just got more tequila. More tequila, Josh.
Yes. Oh yeah. So, you know what's interesting about that appearance on Stern. Hagar was saying, you know, hey man, I want this to be the Best of All Worlds tour, so I'm inviting everybody to come join. He's like, David Lee Roth, you can come and join anytime on any one of these dates. Come and join.
So
I'm all for it.
This is a band. It's not like a concert, right? It's not like a bunch of different.
Right. No.
They're touring. This is a group that's touring.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He even said, hey, Alex Van Halen, you know, even though Alex Van Halen he's kind of like a hermit, doesn't talk to anybody anymore, but like, he's like, I'm reaching out to you now.
Yeah.
So and you know, even the drummer, Jason Bonham, he's like, hey man, he's like, you guys are one of my favorite bands. I will step back. If you want to take drums on anything at any time, go for it. And I'm like, that's what you want to hear, right?
You just it sounds cool.
Yeah. So would you go see that concert? Or I mean,
yeah. Sure, why not?
Especially like if you never know like who's gonna show up. You're like, you know, Wolfie runs out on stage. Oh yeah, Wolfie.
You're right. That'd be awesome.
Right? Yeah. So speaking of old people on tour, Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Is kicking off a tour next year.
Her like rock tour.
Yeah, dude, you saw that, right? Yeah. She's like releasing a rock album.
She's like wearing like a black leather outfit and like I heard some of the rock songs. They still sound pretty country to me, but I mean, it's still
and a lot of them are kind of like
it's still cool though.
A lot of them are kind of like, you know, soft rock, you know, like but she's always been like a big fan of like rock music.
Yeah.
She's always been like
she's a music fan, period. Like, the amount of songs that she writes, she just whips them out like nothing. It's crazy. So,
and can you think of? There's got to be only just like a handful of people that are maybe like on the same level as being as liked as Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever heard someone go, "Oh, fucking hate Dolly Parton"?
Yeah, there's like nothing she says that's like that it's always like the sweetest thing you've ever heard. You're like, gee, like
she's always laughing and giggling.
Say something political, like they ask her about politics, and she's just like,
and she's like, I don't like to get political.
I mean, it's like, love you, Dolly. Like, so awesome.
You know how old Dolly is?
I'm gonna say 90.
It's not that old,
dude. You know why? I looked up Willie Nelson the other day, and he's 90. And I was like, holy shit, he's 90 years old.
Yeah, but I think what's her name? I think Dolly started when she was like 12 or 14 years old or something like that.
Okay.
I'm like, what? Wow, but she's 77 years old. 77. She's going to be 78 in January. And she was just inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Gotcha. God, I was fucking way off. Fucking 78. Okay.
I mean, it's, 12 years. But, so yeah, I think that's part of the reason why she's like, I think I need to release a rock album because, like, if you inducted me into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then...
that sounds so.
I don't know.
Didn't she say that like a couple years ago? Like that she shouldn't be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because
she originally said I'm not accepting
That's
this.
hilarious.
And then she's like, okay, I'll accept it. Like, come on,
but I'm gonna whip out a rock album.
Yeah. Have you seen? I don't know if you saw the track listing of that album. But it's pretty wild, like how many people she got. I mean, you're Dolly Parton. You can get anybody you want, right? I mean, but the list is just insane. Dude, there's like 30 songs on this thing. Yeah. It's like a 4-album set. It's like, it's crazy like how many songs are on here by, I mean, I could go through the names, but there's too many. But
Fred
it's like,
Durst and like others.
Fred Durst. I mean, there's Sting and like Steve Perry, John Fogerty, Steven Tyler, Stevie Nicks.
Wow.
Peter Frampton, Joan Jett.
Damn.
There's
That's cool.
There's massive.
That's cool.
Elton John, Stevie Nicks, Rob Halford, and John Five are on a song with him.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sheryl Crow, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr.
Huh.
The remaining guys in the Lynyrd Skynyrd boys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but it got me thinking like, so she's getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Right now, and they've already inducted like 10 other country artists, that people would consider country. And they now have Dolly, they have Hank Sr., they have Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. Where the hell is Waylon effing Jennings?
But I'm a rambling man. Don't fool around with a rambling man.
He's almost like the father of country rock.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. He's like, not only is he my favorite country artist, but he's like one of the coolest country artists of all time. And how many people has he inspired? Because like, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they always say like, hey, it's all about, inspiration, who inspires people or, who influences other, groups and members and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Think of all the Southern rock guys and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Come on. So I don't know. And then what's the, I don't know if you can see the Waylon and Willie, the old classic Waylon and Willie.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on. It's like, dude, he has like a ton of hits. He's like, he's a massive influence.
One of the outlaws, dude. Like,
yeah. Who should be in next? Like, what other country guys should be in? Obviously, people know my vote. It should be Waylon Jennings. But who after Waylon Jennings should be in? If we're just talking about country, because listen, everything's blown out. Like, it's all open now. We have Madonna in. We have Michael Jackson in. We have like rap artists like Missy Elliott and stuff like that. So it's wide open.
All they're missing is a name change of the Music Hall of Fame.
Right. So if they're allowing pretty much everybody in, then they need to start putting in people that really, deserve to be in if that's the way you're going, because, I could think of a million rock artists that deserve to be in.
And you know how, I mean, look you know how this really works. They're getting Dolly to come perform.
Right.
Are you going to get,
they can't get Waylon.
Are you going to get Waylon?
They can get a son. They can get Shooter.
Yeah.
They can get Shooter in there.
I mean, it just comes down to money and who's going to show up and actually, so.
Well, they can get George Strait.
Yep.
They can get Garth Brooks.
Yep.
They can get Hank Jr., except, you know, the people that run the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know, they're probably not big on the politics thing, but dude, Hank Jr. belongs in there too, man. That guy was a badass. Yep. And then Jimmy Buffett. I mean, he's not going to be there playing, but, you know. But Jimmy Buffett, you want to talk about influence, like, you know, who are, like, you know, Kenny Chesney and Toby Keith. You know, Toby Keith and Chesney, they're both eligible now to be in there. So I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Andy, speaking of bands who are eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, have I ever asked you what the worst concert you ever attended was?
Ever asked you that? I feel like you have. I don't know. Maybe you didn't.
Do you have like whether it's just a bad experience, or if it's just a band that was bad, or what is your worst experience at a concert? Do you have one?
Gosh,
you're like, they're all great. I was fucking high and drunk.
Yeah, I mean, I always have a great time at a concert. Like, I mean, I usually like the only time I was ever kind of disappointed with the band was Rob Zombie. Was like the first time I saw him, I was like, oh, it's
because he's so produced.
And it's like
that's what I always tell everybody.
I mean, the theatrics on stage is real fun, especially if you go to a night show, like seeing him at night. But it was. I mean, I've grown to like him in live. It's like you have to think.
He's energetic. He's jumping around.
You have to think of it differently. But that was probably the one that was like kind of disappointing. I was like, oh, it's, you know, usually you go and it sounds similar, you know, or they figure out a way to make it similar, you know, like, but I don't know.
And he's like, I was hoping for, like, you know, a goat to drop down and like they're just gonna like slice him up and like But listen, the reason I bring this up is because, you know, I've talked about before that probably the most boring band I ever saw was Sonic Youth, where you're just kind of like, hey, we're Sonic Youth, we're just playing here. I was like, God, this is boring shit. Fuck. But the worst concert that I ever went to was the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh yeah.
And the Smashing Pumpkins I saw in, like, I think it was like 2000.
Yeah.
And so it was like, you know, right before they were like gonna like break up, I believe. And there's a few reasons why. So, like, first off, my buddy Kelly, who I worked with, you know, I was doing construction, but I was also working at the radio station. I was like, dude, I can get tickets to that show. Yeah. And he goes, oh my God, they're like my favorite band. And I'm like, dude, let's do it, man. I go, I'll get tickets. And he goes, if you can get tickets, let's go. And I'm like, all right, yeah. So it was like, you know, like one of those like standing room, like we just everyone piles into the I think it was like the Paramount. And you know, he was such a big fan. So the buildup was like huge. Yeah. The buildup was like, oh man, this is awesome. I'm like so happy like that my buddy's like getting able to, you know, he's like so excited. You know? So, and that's part of, like, you know, the fun of it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, you know, I like the Smashing Pumpkins. Like, you know, I like some of their songs and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, how can you not? They have tons of songs. But they also were doing like industrial stuff at that point. I'm like, what is this? I don't know. This is kind of weird.
What is this?
I don't know. And then lastly, I wanted to see. I was like, okay, maybe like I remember. You know what remember? Like, I remember on the way home, we were like looking at each other and we're like, it was hard to like figure out what songs they were playing because all their stuff, like they were doing like all industrial like shit, right? And I was like, this is. So I went back and I actually checked the set list. I love that you could do that. Yeah. You could like check the set list. And so it was at the Paramount on May 29th, 2000, right? So they played, can you imagine, Andy? You go to see the Smashing Pumpkins and they play one song from Siamese Dream. Their big breakthrough album, the big giant breakthrough album, right?
Today?
They didn't play Today. They didn't play any of the hits. They didn't play Today. They didn't play Chirp Rock, Today, Disarm, Rocket. They didn't play any of those.
They didn't play Today. They didn't play tomorrow. They didn't play next week.
They played Mayonnaise.
What?
And I was like,
I don't know what that. I mean, I'd have to hear it.
It's an album track. Okay. It's not a hit. It's not a hit. Okay, so then they did play more songs from the Melancholy and Infinite Sadness album.
Okay.
You know, the double
You
album.
have to. It's huge.
But they only played 3 songs from that.
Yeah.
So they played Tonight,
Okay.
which, you know me.
There's better ones.
But they did play Bullet with Butterfly Wings, 1979.
Okay.
And they still left out, because there's 2 other good songs from that album, 0 and 33.
I like 0.
Yeah. And they didn't play that, of course, you know, because you like it.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck you. Don't play that.
Because people like you asked for it.
Other hit songs that could have been played, but they didn't play them, are like Rhinoceros. I don't know if you know that song just by the name, but it's like that. And she knows, and she knows.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Anyway, it's like, he's all, you know, it's like, stop whining. And they didn't play Landslide by Fleetwood Mac,
Sure.
which was actually, you know, it was a cover of Fleetwood Mac, but it was actually a hit for them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was like a big hit.
Mhm.
Instead of playing that cover, they played Rock On by David Essex and Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads. And I didn't even realize they did that until I just went back, because that's how boring that show was.
Yeah.
So,
Terrible.
so yeah, I don't know. It's just those were the reasons why it made that experience just kind of like, maybe just scratch my head. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, yeah. Anyway.
Sounds awful.
So,
I just heard that Green Day is going to be touring with Smashing Pumpkins. They got a tour coming, and somebody else, I can't remember who else was with them, but they're doing like a big,
it makes sense
big stadium show or something.
It makes sense of the era, but like one band's all kind of fucking whiny and
it's definitely that.
And like and the other band's all upbeat
And
and
they're like still at the height of their Green Day's still cranking out hits, man. It's crazy. Like,
I think it would be like, see, it all depends on, like, you know, it depends on a lot of factors, like, you know, who's available.
Yeah.
And, you know, probably they want to match the eras and stuff like that, and the fans, you know. But
I think the Smashing Pumpkins have come around, and they're playing like their
hits,
core songs again. You know, so it'd probably be a good show. But
it's like one of those things where the Pumpkins. I always hate this shit when, you know, bands start fighting and stuff, and who ends up getting punished? The fans.
Yeah,
it's like. The fans end up getting punished, and that pisses me off, because like that's exactly why my buddy Kelly was like super excited to go see that show.
Yeah,
took him to go see that show, and they didn't play easily half the songs.
And they're like, we're gonna experiment. We're gonna, you know,
they chose that time to go experiment.
It's the year 2000. We have to change, and it's like, you can kind of
that's kind of like that is kind of like right around that point of time where, you know, bands like that kind of don't want to play their hits, because they're like, well, we're still putting out our best stuff. Well,
people still want to hear the songs, though, man. Like,
I know. Well, that's why. Hey, Paul McCartney did that for a while, where he's like, you know, I'm just gonna play stuff from Wings in my solo, and it's like, okay, buddy, I got news for you.
Yeah.
You know, you were in the Beatles.
Yeah.
The other guy, he's not gonna be touring. He's dead. He's not going to be touring.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you could sell out stadiums for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Crazy.
And become a billionaire. Or you could be the old grumpy guy. Like, I don't know. I see someone like Neil Young doing that.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you don't want to hear my deep cuts? Because that's all I'm going to be playing. So fuck all of you. Yeah. Anyway.
I like Jay-Z. You want to hear my old shit? Buy my old album.
Yeah, fuck you. Now, Andy, I know you follow some of those fan pages, like on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like some of those, you know, groups where they have like the grunge and alternative stuff, right? And some of those will actually pose an interesting question. You know, you're like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. Or like, you know, once in a great while, I'll like, you know, put in my 2 cents or whatever. But it's like a lot of work, because like everyone's like, everybody disagrees like on music. It's like just such a, you know, it's so subjective.
It is. It's ridiculous. You know? Yeah.
But once in a great while, there will be an interesting question that comes up. And I saw this one post they were talking about Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, right? And someone said, it's pretty ridiculous, but someone said, if Kurt Cobain were alive today, what would his thoughts be on the Foo Fighters up to this point? And at first I was like, that's fucking stupid. He's fucking dead. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
But then it got me thinking.
Yeah, come on. You got me thinking. What if, Josh? What if?
Yeah. Well, it got me thinking of kind of like a better question of like, how do you think Nirvana would have gone if Kurt had never passed away?
How did you function in that band?
It's great.
But it's almost like being George Harrison. George Harrison had great songs. The Beatles made him only have one song on an album. Kurt wouldn't let you have
but he was in a band with Lennon and McCartney. And I was in a band with Kurt. So it's that famous joke, like, what's the last thing the drummer said before he got kicked out? I got a song I think we should play.
But I guess he had proposed some songs to Kurt Cobain, or had him listen to some of his songs.
Yeah.
You never let him hear anything you wrote?
He heard some, and he liked a couple of them. There were two that he really liked he wanted to do, but he was afraid to ask me if he could change the lyrics.
But they never did anything with him.
I mean, what are you going to do when you're a massive band? It's like, that's going to be on the back burner for years until you get a chance to even think about working on that, like.
Right. And Dave Grohl, he said that basically he's like, hey, I was fine with my role. Like, you have Kurt Cobain who writes these, simple, very catchy pop songs, and it's working. So why, ruin that? But also, I was thinking about this too. The Beatles kind of started out like that, where John Lennon was the clear leader of that band. Then Paul started writing more songs, and then he became like the leader of the band.
Yeah.
Because it's like he has so many songs that he's writing. And I'm like, maybe that's how Nirvana would have possibly turned out, where like, hey, he incorporates a couple songs on an album, they become big, and who knows?
It's possible.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, Kurt was such a polarizing lead man that it was like, I don't know if that would have ever, if the labels would ever let that happen, or what I'm saying. It might have taken a while, or but that is interesting, because it's like, because what if he just Dave Grohl like never became Dave Grohl, like he just was the drummer for Nirvana, and like it would be crazy to think that. Well, I think he also said that when Kurt died, they needed to take a break anyways. So
I heard he almost wanted to quit music altogether.
Oh, you mean like after when Kurt Cobain died?
Yeah. And then I think I saw something about like, and then he went like somewhere like in Europe or something like that, and then ran into somebody that like knew who he was, and he was like, I'm never going to be able to escape this. Like, so I just went back and started, hammering out the rest of that album. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, Dave is like he's such a cool guy, and people love his songs now. But yeah, I think that he may have just done like a side project or like a solo kind of deal. Sure. Anyways.
Sure. Yeah. He would eventually
stayed in Nirvana, because you don't want to screw up that. You don't want to screw up that meal ticket, right?
Yeah.
You're like, there's a lot of guys that still do stuff on the side, but then will keep their day gig.
Yep. Yeah, and so, and his music really fell right after just of the time that album was perfect. It was like that kind of the alternative type of rock music that was you got
the President of the States of America, you had Weezer, you had Foo Fighters, Green Day, all these bands exploded right after that. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, but it is funny, because the reason I bring up the kind of like the Beatle deal is Dave Grohl's kind of like Paul McCartney. Like, like you think of like, he has like Beatle kind of songs, like, he'll rock out, but then he'll have like, some soft songs, like kind of like, Big Me and stuff like that. You're like, oh yeah, that's kind of like, and Lennon was, or Kurt Cobain was more like Lennon. Yeah. Like he's more serious. Do you know what I mean? Like, cause like
Yeah, took
I
himself
think
more
Lennon was his
seriously.
hero. Lennon was his hero, and Dave Grohl actually said that McCartney was like a big influence on him and his career.
Paul, you're definitely my hero. Thanks for having me.
I don't know. I just think that's an interesting topic. Maybe I'll throw that in the group as a question.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Or just post this clip.
Yeah.
I'll just post this clip.
If you can.
So, yeah, right.
You're like, hey, whoa, promote yourself.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about artists who actually deserve to be in the Hall of Fame just a bit ago.
Mm.
And this next artist is someone who I hope should be voted in pretty soon. I mean, they're that big, without question, in my opinion. And that person is Snoop Dogg.
Oh, shit.
The shizzle, my nizzle.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg's in the news, right, Andy?
Yes, I was waiting for this question.
So Snoop Dogg released this statement out of nowhere, like this weird, like, what? Where did this come from? Basically,
I don't know.
That he's giving up smoking weed? What?
Rapper Snoop Dogg, he's written about it, built an image around it, and now he's saying he's just giving it up. You heard that right. He says he's giving up smoke, as in marijuana. After making millions promoting weed, smoking on air, talking about it endlessly, the rapper says he's decided just to call it quits. In a social media post, Snoop said, after much consideration and conversation with family, quote, I've decided to give up smoke. He then asked fans to respect his privacy. Some were confused, other fans congratulatory.
Why? Biggest question is why? You know, you've been doing it since forever.
I'm shocked. I just heard it, so, congratulations, dog. You know what I'm saying? Proud of you, man. Keep up the good work.
Now, others can't help but wonder if it's all a ploy, maybe a marketing move to promote some other product like edibles. Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see.
The only thing I can think of is he's got some sort of health problem. I mean, what else would, after so many damn years, and you basically you're known. I mean, like it's a huge money maker for him. There's probably all kinds of products that are revolved around it.
I know what you're thinking. Snoop, smoke is kind of your whole thing. But I'm done with it. Done with the coughing and my clothes smelling all sticky icky. I'm going smokeless. Solo stove fixed fire. They took out the smoke. Clever.
Sean and I did, we were trying to figure out who belongs on the Mount Rushmore of weed, right? Like the 4 main weed guys. And you have to have Snoop on there.
Yeah.
You have to have Willie Nelson. Probably Bob Marley.
Yeah.
And then what? Like Cheech and Chong?
Yeah.
Both together, or just probably Chong at this point, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
But there's a number of, so the reason I bring this up is because I put together a list of, me, I love lists.
I know you do.
So I put together a list of, I saw there was a number of different people that were huge weed smokers, and they had stopped too. So what's your thoughts on some of these and whether you believe these? Some of them are like, now I think that some of them still do the edibles.
Yeah.
I
mean, sure.
Because I'm guessing the worst part of smoking weed is, the coughing up your lungs part.
Yeah.
Inhaling the smoke.
Sure.
Which is probably the worst part. But
it is. It's smoke is smoke. It's
yeah.
There's carcinogens in any kind of smoke, but that's.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be breathing regularly in a burning building.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if that burning building had weed in it, and he'd be like, do I run in it or do I run out?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but all right. So I think I heard that Woody Harrelson said that he stopped smoking weed back in 2017. Now, I don't know if he's back. I don't know if he's back doing it, but that's what I read. I read that.
Yeah. The last time I saw him say that he quit smoking was on some talk show, and he's like, yeah, I'm not smoking weed anymore. And then they're like, crazy. Oh yeah, and he's like, I'm not smoking any less though.
Oh!
Who knows, dude? I don't know. But yeah, I feel like I have heard that. I just don't know how you're hanging out with Bill Maher and those guys in Hawaii every New Year's. But
yeah, well, they did cancel their. They used to, I guess. Bill Maher, I've heard him talk about how they used to have that big party out in Hawaii.
Yeah,
and all those guys would be out there, but they canceled that. I guess I don't know if it got too big or something. I can't remember.
Really?
But yeah, something. I don't know what the deal is. But 2019, Willie Nelson said he stopped smoking weed due to breathing issues.
Really?
So I don't know if I mean, can you imagine? He's like, he just pile of edibles, just take.
Yeah,
he's
edibles? Probably doing that because I mean he's 90. So if
anybody gets a pass, it's Willie Nelson. I mean, he's already on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, it's like
right?
I get because it's like when you're sick or something, it's like who wants to smoke?
Yeah.
So it's like I get if it doesn't feel good, doesn't feel. Why would you do something that's painful or so? I understand quitting if it gets to that point, like.
Yeah. In 2017, Brad Pitt claims to have stopped smoking weed, and he was always a big weed guy, right? Like everyone's like, oh, Brad Pitt, legendary stoner, like kind of like Woody.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson. I guess he stopped because of his kids.
Yeah. Okay. I just wonder what replaces what replace
right.
Are they popping pills? Are they doing a little Xanax here and there? Are they, I mean,
yeah, good point.
I wonder what else are they having?
I think a lot of
more
these
drinks, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing. You got to think it's because weed's gotten so popular. Maybe it is like the edible thing because there's just so much.
Exposure. There is a lot more other forms to ingest weed now. You don't have to. You don't have to. They're like, I quit smoking weed. So when not using weed products is a different thing, right? So I wonder if that's what they mean when they say that, or if they're just saying smoking it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. McCartney.
Yeah,
McCartney. He was a big. I mean, come on, through the Beatles.
Sure.
In the 70s with Wings. I mean, he even got arrested for it in 1980 and got thrown in jail in like Japan or something like that for it. But he stopped smoking finally he said 2012 because of his kids, probably his third set of kids. I don't know how many kids he has, but
I quit because of my kids. Isn't
that, yeah, it's like there's a lot of kids.
I mean, I get it. You don't want to be a total stone. You don't want to smoke around your kids. You don't want to be like a total idiot around your kid. But I mean, ever?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Lady Gaga, Andy.
Oh yeah.
Lady Gaga said she used to smoke like 15 joints a day.
It's excessive.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So she said she stopped smoking, but now I think she said she just smokes a little bit.
Fair.
A little bit.
It's fair.
Mark Wahlberg said he stopped smoking in 2011. I didn't even isn't Mark... I always picture Mark Wahlberg as
just in the gym all the time, and I wouldn't even. I would see
all religious, super religious.
I would see him just smack a joint out of somebody's mouth, not. Even,
right,
I don't see him being that guy.
What are you doing? Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you guys doing? It's illegal. Yeah. Don't you guys know it's illegal?
Yeah. So I guess he used to smoke weed, but he stopped in 2011. Kids,
sure.
And Travis Barker of Blink-182.
Are they just saying to make them look good? Is that what they're
Travis Barker? I saw he stopped in 2012 he had some major health issues, I guess. And
didn't he crash in that plane? Was that the health issue?
I don't know what year that was, but that was wild.
Jeez.
Yeah. CeeLo, you remember that guy? CeeLo Green?
Yep.
He said he stopped in the late 90s after a severe anxiety attack.
I've heard that. I've heard people have the anxiety.
Have you ever had an anxiety attack?
No, I think it's people just get really high, and it could be there's different types of weed. There's some that are kind of more upper, and there's some that are more downer, and just however way it affects you.
Don't they actually have weed for anxiety now?
Yeah, I mean,
they have
yes, Yes, there is. For some people, deal with anxiety differently, and for some people, I think that getting really high can make you anxious, which makes sense because it's like obviously you get a little anxious or paranoid, if you will. So it's like those, it's going to make your feelings kind of do this. So it makes sense that some people would have a panic attack.
I had never even had any anxiety, like at all, like period. I didn't even know, like when people would say like, okay, it gives me so much anxiety, like, whether it be like anything, like, coffee or alcohol or weed or whatever. I didn't even know what that was until a couple of years ago. And then I was like, oh man, like, is this what this is? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, whoa, I understand now. I get it.
Yeah.
But that'd be weird having a severe anxiety attack.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. I mean, everybody responds to everything differently. I mean, it just depends on, it could have been what he ate that day or what he didn't eat.
Yeah.
He could have been on a totally empty stomach and just got super high.
Yeah.
And, you know how it goes. Like if you're drunk and, or you're drinking and you on an empty stomach and it's like 100% different than if you got a full stomach. Like,
yeah. Miley Cyrus said she stopped in 2017 and drinking in 2019 for her voice, largely because it made her want to eat all the time, I guess.
Yeah.
But also, Miley said that she smoked. She goes, there's a lot of people that smoke a lot of weed. She goes, nobody smokes as much weed as me. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well, Lady Gaga was putting down like 20 joints, dude. I don't know.
These chicks, man, they make them differently these days.
Maybe you guys do need to quit. Take it easy. It's not crack, dude. It's just weed, man. Just smoke it.
Yeah. And Neil Young, one of the old legendary hippies, Neil Young, the grandfather of grunge, said he stopped in 2012 to write his memoir just to see what it would be like. And I don't know if he's done completely, but said he quit in 2012. So Neil Young, I think that Neil Young, when I see Neil Young, I picture Neil Young. I didn't even see him sleeping on I see him sleeping on a couch or like a teepee. I think they actually did live in a teepee at one point. He's like one of those guys and he just rolls over and just starts smoking weed. Like that's how I picture Neil Young.
Sounds amazing. Where's the list of people that started smoking because of their kids?
Right? No, and then the last one I had on here was Andre 3000, who has an album coming out.
Yeah.
First solo album coming out. But this is wild. He said he stopped smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and became a vegan in 1998 for health reasons. I'm like, well, if you stop all that, yeah, I'm sure.
And that's basically the last time we heard from him too. So that sucked all this creative talent out of him.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, did he write all those songs from that Speaker Box album in 2003 in 1998 or what? Like
probably.
Yeah. Now, my question for you, Andy, is: have any of these stories inspired you to stop smoking weed yourself?
Not really.
What would it take? Like, it'd probably be, most people would be like, well, you got to stop. There's like, you're dying.
Yeah.
But isn't that one of those things where like a lot of people start smoking weed because they're dying?
Yeah.
It's like, it helps them. Like,
yes. Yeah. I guess if you got like cancer or something and your stomach is all screwed up or something, and it helps calm your stomach to where you can eat or whatever, stuff like that. Fuck yeah, man. But I mean, I don't know. I guess it would just maybe, I don't know, maybe take somebody that I was with or something, or I don't know. I don't know. I never really think about it a whole lot, but it's I guess it would just.
And he's like, that's why I'm single.
Well, I'm just like thinking, it's going to have to just be in the course of you know, it just happens someday. It's not going to be like, I don't see any reason to quit as far as, you know, it just would have
Well, you're
to
not
be
a Miley Cyrus or a Lady Gaga.
not that crazy. Not that crazy. But yeah, so.
But you know, you've told me before that you're kind of like, you know, not as crazy, but Snoop Dogg in the fact that he never called like marijuana a drug. He called it medicine.
Well,
right?
yeah, and I don't know about medicine.
Like,
you know, like sometimes it's medicine, but
yeah, because like remember you always say like, man, if I can't recover, you know, from a day of hard drinking without that,
yeah,
it's a lot harder.
Which is rare. I don't drink. You know, I maybe on the weekends, but yeah, it's like, you know, it definitely helps for stuff like that, like you know, upset stomach and things like that. But I mean, other than that, it's just I'm getting high. It's not, you know, I'm not using it for medicine per se. Sometimes it is medicine, you know, but still, you know, it's just, you know, it's
you're like, it's just like, you know, makes you feel good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So
now, is it like everything else where it's like, you know, the first few times you get drunk, you're like, oh fuck, this is fucking amazing. Like, this is fucking great. And then now it's like, it's still good.
It's almost
it's just
you get really high when you first smoke weed. Like
I guess it all depends too on, because there's different levels of stuff that you can buy and take and the ways you do it, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the first time I got baked out of my mind the first time, because it's like, I took a big giant bong hit the first time I smoked weed too. Somebody was like, keep sucking. And I was like,
oh God.
and after I blew it out, they're like, that was the biggest bong hit I've ever seen anyone take. And that was the last thing I remember. And it was just like, we were walking around out in the woods, or it wasn't even the woods. It was like a park. And, but it felt like, you know, it was just crazy, dude. But yeah, I think it's because funny, like, that's never been in your body before. I think it was just a lot. And then it slowly gets you get more used to it. Just like anything that you would do, you know, like drinking coffee or anything, you know, it becomes less of the, you know, power, but yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And I always say this, I'm truly curious because I've, you know, still haven't done it, but you know, I've said this for years. When I do finally do it, if I do, Andy Matlock.
Yeah.
Andy Matlock's going to be there. Andy Matlock's going to be the guy. Andy Matlock's going to be the guy.
There's too much build-up now. It's too much build-up. It's weird.
I'm like, what do I do? Do I do it on the show or what? I mean, not that I even...
That'd be a shit show.
Yeah. Oh, would it?
Yep.
Well, no, I mean, like, I'd have to do it at the end of the show.
Like, what else I got prepared here?
I'm like, man, this is awesome, man. No. Turn into like Days of Confused or something. Yeah. Anything else, Andy? Anything else we want to add to this this discussion here? Anything else? What's Kitty doing?
He's doing all right. Just a blob of Kitty.
Yeah, just a blob. All right.
Yep. So.
Okay, well, Andy, thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And I guess make sure that everybody needs to like and subscribe. And share your comments on any of the topics we've been speaking about today.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe eat an edible tonight. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe get wild. You know.
Yeah, get wild, get crazy. Woo! All right. Okay, for Andy Matlock, I'm Josh, and as always, thank you for being a friend.